Another winning day. 1-2 day, but Baltimore, big time dog, 2 units on it as well. The other two bets, both losers, both 1 unit, puts us up on the green for the day. John, 5 of 7 days now since the All-Star break. Winning days, got to be feeling pretty good heading into the weekend. And we have a good slate coming up on this Friday card. A lot of good pitching matchups yesterday, followed by the big run explosion we saw earlier in the week. Good baseball coming up this weekend, John.
Yep. As you said, just 1 and 2 for the day, but two 1-unit bets that were losers. Thought we were going to get that Diamondback sweep, 4-1 lead, then a 5-3 lead below that in the eighth. But even with that loss, taking the Orioles plus 165, we just keep saying it. Orioles now, best record in the American League, best road record. They actually score the most runs on the road, and they just get no respect. I don't have a bet today. The Orioles, as of yet, I don't have a bet today. We're going to go down the card. The Orioles would be my one bet. Only reason I didn't bet them, Bautista pitched 2 innings last night to get the win. He also closed on Wednesday against the Dodgers. So I don't know if he's going to be available tonight. Obviously, if the Orioles are going to win, Bautista's going to need to close. He'll be in a close situation unless they blow them out. We'll talk about this game more, but the line makers have done an excellent job today. I've got a couple of leans. We'll be looking for lineups and line movement, but as of right now, don't have a bet. But yeah, 5 and 2, 5 winning days, 2 losing days to start coming back from the break. And let's just keep this rolling right along, right into NFL.
No, 5-7. We'll take that all day long. We'll take the 1 and 2 days as long as this is the big dogs and the bigger units hitting in the green at the end of the day. It's all that matters, in the green.
Dogs. And this is why we bet them instead of taking a run and a half and laying 180 and 190 and saying, yeah, you hit 64. You don't hit 64%, and you need to when you're laying those prices anyway. Our break-even point at $1.50. If we take an average of $1.50, we only got to hit 40%. So when we catch the Orioles plus 165, that's where the value is. That's why we're going to always win at the end of the year. Some lows, highs and lows, guys. Peaks and valleys. It's a 162-game season. When the dust settles, we'll be in the plus.
Before we dive into this card, guys, if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, comment below. And for the weekends, you guys know we aren't here. If you guys want all this information throughout the weekend, go to howtobeatthebookie.com or download the How to Beat the Bookie app, and you'll get all this information throughout the weekend. John, first game on this card, we'll start divisional battle here. Cardinals at the Cubbies. Cards get the win yesterday. It was one of our losers with the Cubs. We talked about it before. Sharps were going on St. Louis. We didn't agree with it. Numbers going the opposite direction. Stroman couldn't get it done. That win for the Cardinals, the last 2 wins, it was Hudson versus Alcantara. Then you have Matz versus Stroman pitching mismatches, and they just pulling out wins right now. St. Louis now 6 in a row. Is this where they've turned the leaf? I mean, that's 2 impressive wins, and now they got a pitcher going who's been pitching well lately. 3 straight quality starts for Flaherty. Steele, he's been terrific, was roughed up his last time out. Gave up 6 runs, 10 hits versus the Red Sox. Prior to that, he had 3 straight quality starts, and he's been really good against the Cardinals so far this season. To me, this game's Cardinals are nobody. They're hot right now. They're getting it going. They're in full rhythm. Cubbies just 4-10. Their last 14 home games. They're 3-4 since the All-Star break. And Cardinals, one of the hottest teams in baseball. 8.5 games back of the wild card, 10 games back in the division, and I don't think they're completely out of it.
I don't think they're completely out of it, but regardless, they don't think they're completely out of it. Here they come. They're charging. So they're scoring 6.83 runs per game and hitting 301 since the break. That's what this lineup is supposed to be doing all year long. Well, they're doing it right now. This game went down to 110, minus 110 when we bet it last night. An absolute pitching mismatch, Stroman versus Matz. The only thing we didn't realize, the mismatch was Matz was better than Stroman. They're red hot. Look, we won with the Cubs. They had scored 25 runs in their 2 games prior to last night. Just thought that was worth the price. Don't think so today. Flaherty is 62nd out of possible 63 eligible pitches with a 1.53 whip, but has had 3 straight quality starts and just getting the job done. So he's walking through raindrops right now. Does that continue against Steele, who did get banged up real hard his last time out, but was pitching great prior to that. Sharps are on the cards again. Looks like that's the pattern. They're on the cards. This game opened minus 130 on the overnight, sitting at minus 120 right now. I think that's the right price, real cheap price for Steele at home, but I can't buck the Cardinals again.
Yeah, tough to buck them right now. What was it, 2021? They went on that 17-game win streak at the back end of the season to make a run. We'll see if they have something up their sleeves, but can't go against the hot team. Then we have Rockies at Miami, just like we can't go against the hot team, can't back the cold team. Marlins right now, ice cold since the break. They have now lost 6 straight. They do have success at home. They're 15-5 their last 20 home games. And this Colorado team 3-2 since the All-Star break, but that was all at home. You guys know the story with them on the road. NL worst road team. They're going with a bullpen game. Lambert going to be the opener, and then going to be Garrett here for Miami. Big price here for a Marlins team who is struggling. Garrett, who was terrific in June, he's been struggling. Gave up 4 runs in 4 2/3 versus the O's his last time out. Not really looking to back a Colorado bullpen game, but might have to with this price here in this game.
Yeah, no, I'm even though Miami's cold, I just can't get behind Colorado on the road in a bullpen game. Although Lambert, his last time out, they used him as an opener also, and he went 3 innings. So not just one of those 1-inning openers. He threw 3 shutout innings at home, albeit against the Tigers. 200 is the ballpark right number, so it's a little bit higher. Just don't want to get behind the Rockies at that number. Obviously not packing an ice-cold Marlin team. They're just a little quirk in their stats, scoring just 3.5 runs per game, but hitting 271 since the break. So they're getting the hits, just not getting the runs. Should be able to get something done against a Colorado bullpen game. And the one thing they do, they are back at home. 15-5 their last 20. They've been awful on the road, the Marlins. Too high of a price, but not big enough to take with the Rockies.
Then we have Giants at Washington. Giants, they were red hot coming out of the break, had won 7 straight. Then they dropped the last 2 against Cincy. They're hitting just 199 since the All-Star break. And this Nats team, they've dropped 4 or 5. They've been struggling as well. They're the NL worst home team. Wood versus Irvin. Wood, he was decent his last time out, but 1 run in 3 2/3. Did have 3 walks. Irvin, 4 runs in 3 innings his last time out. No real drastic pitching edge here. Would give it slightly here to Wood, but on the road, he's actually a bit better. 2.96 ERA. Just doesn't go too far in the outing, so hard to give him too big of an edge there. Ice cold Giants, they've been really streaky the last 2 months here. A couple of big win streaks, a couple of big losing streaks. 2 in a row here. Bats have gone quiet. Is this a set of another long losing streak? We'll see. Don't want to be laying this price with them on the road as they're starting to cool off here. Even though it is the worst home team in the NL. Would be a slight lean to the Giants if I had to play this game. I think it's a very fair price on this game.
Yeah, all depends on the injuries. So the Bats went cold the last 2 days, but the last 2 days they're missing both J.D. Davis and Lamont Wade Jr. They'll both be questionable. Those are 2 big bats to take out of their lineup. We'll see if they're in today. The story with the Nationals, better road team than they are at home. But what they do hit lefties well. Wood is the lefty. They bat 279 this year against lefties. And as Ben said, you're not going to get 5-6 innings out of Woods. He's a 3-4 inning pitcher, but still can't. Not interested in the Nationals at home. We'll wait to see what the injuries say and where that line goes later on.
An exciting NL matchup, D-backs and Reds, a couple of young up-and-coming teams right now. Currently, Cincinnati, 2.5 games back of the D-backs in the wild card. D-backs in the top spot on that wild card, and they just took 2 of 3 against Atlanta. At Atlanta. Prior to that, they were having some struggles. They are the 3rd best road record in the MLB. And then you have with this Reds team, are they turning it back around? 6-game losing streak. They win a couple of games. The bats were still quiet. Didn't score too much in the 2 wins, 4 runs per game. They just got some great pitching performances. Are they going to get another great pitching performance out of Lively is the question. Wouldn't bet on it. Lively and 2 July stars, both against Milwaukee, was solid. 2 runs in 9 2/3. And Henry, last time out, 3 runs in 4 1/3. He's been decent. Was really good before in his 4 prior starts. This would be D-backs or nobody for me. We talk about it with their road success. And yes, Cincinnati pulled off a couple of wins, but it wasn't with the offense. They're going to need the offense. This D-backs team got to be riding high confidence. He just took 2 of 3 at Atlanta.
Yeah, it could have been 3 out of 3 and made us a big winner for the day yesterday. They let that one go. But they come into Cincy. Sharps are on Arizona again. This one, look, and for good reason. We've been on Arizona too. They play great on the road. 3rd best road record in baseball. This game opened 127 last night. down to around 115 to 118 right now. So the dog money showing up for Arizona. I would have been on it all over it, but Henry, not good on the road, and he performed poorly his last time out. We were on him at Toronto. He gave up 3 runs in 4 1/3. Lively, not great pitching, just gets the job done. This price, the right price to take, was the overnight price. Now that it's down this low, just not enough room, but it's Arizona or nobody for me. Not sold on what the Reds did, even in the last 2 games against the Giants, as the Giants were missing a bunch of bats yesterday. Arizona or nobody, but need that overnight number, that plus 117, or I won't be interested.
That's Braves at Milwaukee. You talked about it just now about how Braves stole that game a little bit from the D-backs yesterday. That snapped their 4-game skid. And then this Brewers team, they've been playing great baseball. They've won 5 of 6 since the All-Star break, 11-4 their last 15. One of the hotter teams in baseball right now. Soroka versus Peralta, pitching mismatch here for the Brewers. Peralta hasn't been as lights out this year, but still solid. Last start out, really good. 6 shutout innings versus the Reds. Had 7 shutout innings versus the Braves last year. Has been a bit better at home. Soroka, he's been solid, 2 runs in 7 2/3. I mean, very serviceable. Just when you have this pitching rotation with Strider and there's just company here, Elder and everything else here for Atlanta. When you get a chance to see a guy like Soroka, got to take advantage of it. So for the Brewers, this would be them or nothing here in this spot, playing good ball since the break. And we'll see if the Braves continue having their struggles.
Yeah, another one, the shots, they just jumped right on Milwaukee this morning. The home dog, the price opened at minus 130 on the overnight. Now you're looking at about minus 120. What kept me off that number was Milwaukee's winning. They're just not hitting to do it. So now you got to get it. You got to count on getting a game out of Peralta against the second best hitting team in baseball. Milwaukee Brewers, 3.33 runs per game and hitting 221 since the All-Star break. Should be able to get to Soroka, but you got to put up with this Atlanta Braves team. It's Brewers or nobody, but again, would have needed the higher number. Not interested at this number.
And then Orioles at Tampa Bay. Orioles, you guys know the one winner from yesterday, and have to be looking back there and nothing here in this spot again. Tampa Bay just ice cold, 5 straight losses, 3-12 their last 15. Baltimore 10-2 their last 12. Just hot versus cold right now. 2 teams trending opposite directions. Eflin, he's been great at home this year. 9-1, 2.34. Did have a rough start against the Orioles at Baltimore earlier this year, but he's been a different pitcher at home. And Brad is coming off 4 straight quality starts. He was solid versus Tampa earlier this year, was roughed up by them last season. But either way, just hot versus cold. That's the theme of this game, theme of this series and this weekend. Can't be looking at Tampa Bay, just different team than what they were in April.
Yeah, look, as I said at the top, would have already bet this game. Just the trend is your friend. Orioles trending one way, Rays are trending the other way. But with Bautista, possibly or probably not going to be available after a 2-inning game last night and of pitching the day before against the Dodgers, you're going to need him to be the closer. Also, as Ben said, Eflin really good at home, while Bradish in 2 starts against the Rays got banged up last year. But it's Orioles and nobody. We'll wait to see if they make any announcement or give us any leeway information on Bautista. We'll see where that line goes. The line went up on the original overnight, and I don't want to hear from anybody the Rays are due. I don't want to hear that word. I keep hearing it every day. The Rays are due. Every time we bet Texas, the Rays are due. There's nothing due but the rent. Follow the trend. Orioles and nobody. We're still waiting on info in that game.
And this next one, Royals at Yankees, a big price for a Yankees team right now who's just struggling. 2-9 their last 11. You guys know the stats without Judge, 20-28, batting just, 219. So Yankees lineup, no offense right now. Luckily, they're going against a Kansas City team who can't score either, so we'll see what goes on there. They just lost 3-0 at Detroit, or to the Tigers. Sorry, that was in Kansas City. They're 2-5 since the All-Star break. This is Kansas City or nobody. Marsh looked good in his last start. It was a quality start versus Tampa Bay. 11 Ks, 1 walk for your third career start is a pretty good thing to have. And then Schmidt, he's been better recently. He's been really good against these bad teams. Not going too crazy in games, but he is coming off a quality start at Coors Field. That's always impressive. So this is Kansas City or nobody. Can't lay this price to the Yankees. No way, no how. Question is, do you want to be back in one of the second worst team in baseball with a guy making his 4th career start? So Kansas City or nobody. We'll see if Marsh can follow up what he did against Tampa Bay.
Yep. We've been using Kansas City and Oakland as the comparison to the Yankees without Judge. So now Yankees 20-28 without Judge in the lineup, hitting .219, which would be the worst in Major League Baseball, and scoring just 3.71 runs per game. KC scores 3.7 runs per game. They're 29th. So just shows you where the Yankees are without Judge. Give Schmidt a pitching advantage, but it can't be a 180. KC or nobody.
Then division battle in the Central. White Sox at Minnesota. Vaughn's questionable in this one. Going to be Lynn versus Ryan. Ryan, he's been struggling a little bit lately. Last 2 starts, 8 runs, 3 homers, 9 2/3. And for Lynn, he's just been rough all season long. Last time out, gave up 4 runs, 2 homers, and 5 1/3. He's had a few good starts here and there, a few high strikeout starts. Did have the quality start versus Minnesota earlier this season. This is a division battle where the Twins have been playing really good since the All-Star break. White Sox have been competitive against the Braves and the Mets. Just has to be a spot here for Minnesota. You got a pitching mismatch with Ryan on the mound, even with how bad he's been lately. They want to pull away in this division. They got to start beating up on Chicago a little bit.
Yeah, they do. I'm actually just watching the board, Ben, so I don't know what you said, but just bring it up. I've got Ryan is 6th with a 103 whip. But he's only had one quality start since his complete game shutout back on June 22nd against the Red Sox. Hit his last couple of starts. Lynn, another guy, could be auditioning for a trade. He got hit last time out, 2 runs, but still picked up the win against Atlanta and followed that. Prior to that was 7 shutout innings against Toronto, 2 good hitting teams. Vaughn missed the last couple of games. He's questionable tonight. I think the line is right where it's supposed to be. Minnesota was hitting good until they got blanked yesterday at Seattle. This is a game that they need to win. 2-game lead on Cleveland. And watch out, 5 games on Detroit just in case a miracle happens in the Motor City.
Yeah, the Tigers making a little bit of a run there. We'll see what they do at the deadline. That's a big question with that pitching, if they hold on to it or not. And then you mentioned, maybe Lynn be dealt at the deadline. It kind of reminds me similar to what Syndergaard happened with him last year with the Angels, dealt to the Phillies, kind of a pitcher you're hoping to get something similar to what he used to be. And Syndergaard was decent for Phillies down the stretch and making the playoffs. Astros at Oakland's the next one. They just own this matchup. 13 of the last 14 meetings, all 7 this year. Really tough to go against it, but the price makes it tempting. Really big price here for Sears, who's been solid. 2 of his 3 July starts, quality starts. With Valdez, you guys know the story. Typically Mr. Consistent. Last time out there, roughed up by the Angels for 5 runs. He does have 5 straight quality start versus the A's with a 1.42 ERA. Pitching edge has to go to Valdez. Obviously a team edge, ownership, everything here says Houston. Just big price for Sears, who's one of the more, proven big league arms, one of the few proven big league arms that Oakland actually has. So this would be slightest of leans here to the A's in this one, just from a price standpoint.
Yeah, the price says A's, and the shops just hit the A's. This game was sitting as high as 250, and they just knocked it all the way down to 230. I'm not interested in the A's. The Astros absolutely own them. The A's have lost 9 of 11, I believe it is. They picked up those 2 wins against the Red Sox. Don't know if that can continue. Although Sears, we bet Sears last time out, and we heard a bunch of guys complaining about it. But this kid is 4th in whip with a 102 whip. So he does the job. Just can't buck the trends with Houston. Again, we expected Houston to come into the series last night not sleeping. They actually lost ground earlier in the week they had the Rockies 2 games. While Texas was going to play Tampa Bay, Texas wound up sweeping. Astros wind up splitting with the Rockies, so they lost ground. Had to come in super focused, get the job done last night. Expect them to do that with Valdez. Obviously not laying this price. The price says A's or nobody. And they just put Noter on the IL also. So it's another body on the IL with Ruiz. And just not enough there for me to have the A's at this point.
It's Blue Jays at Seattle, AL wildcard rematch. They did meet earlier this year. Jays won 2 of 3 in Toronto, but Seattle swept them in Seattle all 4 games last season. Jays were red hot heading into that series with San Diego. Then they dropped 2 of 3 there, still 9 and 3 their last 12. And then this Seattle team, just 3 and 4 since the All-Star break, can't get the bats going. I was interested to see if they could find that. Didn't have the offense going in the first half, and that's carried on into the second half. Kikuchi versus Miller. Miller's been really good this year, coming off 5 shutout innings against the Tigers. His ERA 3.66, but that's really just from 2 horrible starts. Outside of that, he's been really terrific, and he's been really good at home. 5-1, 2.84 ERA. Meanwhile, Kikuchi, last 3 starts, 11 runs, 10 earns, and 14 innings. Nothing spectacular. A little bit worse on the road. Did have a good start for Seattle last year, and he used to play for them. A little history there. This Seattle team, I'm not a big believer in. This to me is Toronto or nobody. I expect Seattle to sell at the deadline. Don't think they actually will do it, but if I were in the position, I would. And this series might be kind of the final nail in the coffin on that. Toronto needs to take care of business in here. You get the opportunity to play one of these teams outside the AL East. You got to take care of business when you're trying to catch up in the wild card.
Yeah, long trip, though, from Toronto to Seattle after their game yesterday. But the shops are all over Toronto in this one. This game opened 130. It's down to Seattle, minus 110. So a big move on Toronto in this one. Not much of a pitching edge for Miller, but I'm going to give him the pitching edge, but not big enough. Taking 120 was the right price to take. Now the game is at the right price. We'll stay off this one.
And Padres at Detroit. Padres just took 2 of 3 at Toronto. They're 3 and 4, though, on the trip since the All-Star break. And Tigers been playing good ball, but they did beat up on Kansas City and Seattle. So they won 5 of 7 since the break. Lugo versus Olsen. Olsen's been very solid. I mean, for a guy who's made a handful of career starts. Last time out, 2 runs and 5 1/3 versus the Mariners. He's 1-1, 2.32 his last 5 outings. And Lugo roughed up by the Phillies his last time for 5 runs. I just said it, John. They're 5 games back in the Central. There's a little bit of something going in Motor City. Can they make a deep run? We'll see. San Diego, they've had their road struggles. If you're the Padres, I mean, if you have any hopes of being competitive in the NL West or even in just the wild card, you got to be able to beat up on one of these AL Central teams. Absolutely have to. With that said, like the Tigers in this spot, would be Detroit or nobody for me. Not a believer in San Diego at this point, especially with Lugo on the mound. So this is on paper, should be a Padre spot, but Detroit weirdly competitive for this time of year right now.
Yeah, Detroit or nobody. This is San Diego's least effective pitcher. Now that Darvish has turned in 2 gems in his last 2 starts. Olsen, serviceable, as Ben said. Tigers, whether they're going to make a run or not, right now they think they are. They think they're in it. So it's more like what I was talking about with St. Louis. As long as they think they have something to play for, it's something to get on the field, as opposed to going through the dog days of summer like with nothing to play for. So winning 3 of 4 at KC, although they're still only hitting 217 since the break, as a price at this price as a home dog, it's Detroit or nobody. Let's see what happens with that line later.
And Phillies at Cleveland. This Philly team, they just dropped the last 2 against Milwaukee. Prior to that, had a 4-game win streak. They are 13-2. Their last 15 on the road. They put that stretch together. They're 13 in a row, then dropped the last 2. So we'll see if they start to fall back to the norm a little bit. Typically not the best road team. And this Cleveland team coming off a loss to Pitt, just 2-5 their last 7. Philly gets the pitching edge with Suarez on the mound. 7 of his last 9 starts, quality starts, coming off a bounce back one against San Diego. Prior to that, in 2 starts, he was roughed up a little bit. And then Williams kind of had a weird start to his career. 5 career starts, 3 of them versus Oakland and Kansas City, 2 of them versus Texas and Atlanta. He was decent against Texas last time out, 2 runs in 5 innings. Still pitching edge here to Suarez. Philly's been playing better since the break. Phillies have had a lot of road success. This game to me is Philly or nothing.
Yes, open minus 1.25. It's ticked down a little bit, but nothing crazy. Williams, decent so far. This kid's was the number 4 prospect in all of baseball when getting called up. So he's just under a 4 ERA. Suarez put together a bunch of good starts and had a couple of rough ones. He had a quality start, the minimum quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs last time out. Philly, usually not a great road team, but they've peeled off that 13 straight road wins.
Yeah.
So 13-2, their last 15 on the road. Usually not a great road team. Would be interested at Cleveland as a little higher price as a dog. At right now, no interest at all in this one.
The Mets at Boston, and I'm really tempted to bet the Mets in this one, but a lot of signs pointing against it. It's going to be Senga versus Crawford. Boston has had success in this matchup. They've won 8 of the last 10 meetings. Kind of fell off a little bit. They were red hot, and then they dropped 2 at Oakland. Meanwhile, this Mets team coming off a loss against the White Sox. That snapped a little 3-game win streak they had. Senga versus Crawford. Senga's been terrific in July, and that's what makes me want to get on the Mets so far. 2 starts, 14 innings, only 2 runs, 21 Ks, 3 walks, and it was versus good teams. The Dodgers and the D-backs. Does have a little bit worse numbers on the road, but been a bit better on the road lately. And then Crawford, 3 July starts. He's been good, 2-0, 2.87 ERA, coming off 6 shutout innings versus the Cubbies. Pitching edge going to go to Senga. You have reverse splits here for Crawford. He also struggles in Fenway. Senga on the road, just mentioned it, a little bit of road struggle, but what he's been doing in July. With Boston owning this matchup, makes it a little bit tougher. Obviously, I haven't played since 21. Not going to hold that too much. Just a weird game. Need a little bit more here to get on Senga. A guy who struggles a little bit on the road. Don't want to back him too much in Fenway, but what he's done in July might make it worth it.
Yeah, I think this price is right now, and it started at a pick this game on the overnight. Went up as high as Red Sox 120, and now has come back down to minus 110. Red Sox minus 110. I think that's the right line. Right in the middle, right where it's at right now. Senga, as Ben said, great these last couple of starts. But Crawford, he's been good. 2-0, 2.87 his last 3 July starts. So I'm going to give the Red Sox the hitting edge, especially when they're home. This team has they lead Major League Baseball hitting 290 and third in scoring 5.6 runs per game. Price is right. I'm staying off this one.
Then we have the first place team in the AL West versus the NL West. Dodgers at Texas. Both teams red hot since the break. Dodgers 8-2 their last 10. Texas now they've won 6 straight. Gonsolin versus Heaney. Gonsolin a bit better started last time out. 1 run in 5 innings versus the Mets. Prior to that went 1-2, 8.14 in 4 starts. And Heaney last 4 starts he's been struggling. He has 6.15 ERA. But it's just been it's kind of like what Verlander was doing a little while ago. It's 5 shutout innings, giving up 6 runs. 5 shutout innings, giving up 6 runs. So if it continues that trend, he's due to get roughed up today. He is coming off 5.1 shutout innings versus Guardians. We'll see what happens. Pitched for the Dodgers last year. Don't always love that. I like the Rangers here at the overnight line. This line's really shot up. Goes any higher, it's going to start forcing me to go on the Dodgers here. This is still Teeny, not a lights-out pitcher by any means for Texas. Gonsolin can be solid. We'll see if he flipped that switch. But right now, I have nothing on this game. Would be Dodgers if this price goes any higher.
Ben just keeps getting better and better, especially with those numbers, guys. So, yeah, this game, open pick, and I made it a little higher with Texas, but just not high enough to lay Texas. But now the game has gone just too far up there. This is still the Dodgers. Yes, Haney, the lefty, Dodgers hit is it 227 against left-handed pitching. But this is still the Dodgers, a Dodger team. Gonsolin on the mound. Did he get back in form with that last start? We'll see. Just a little high right now. If it goes higher, I'm back to the Dodgers after originally thinking the line at Pick'em was too cheap for a red-hot Texas team. Both teams hot. Both teams score. Texas leads Major League Baseball in scoring. Dodgers are third. Look for the fireworks in this one. We'll see where the line goes.
And then last game, we had Pittsburgh at the Angels. Pirates, they get a win there. Snapped a 5-game losing streak, but still just 3-14 their last 17 road games, 3-12 their last 15 overall. And the Angels heating back up 1-4-5. They're back over 500 at this point. Back in the wild card hunt, 4.5 games back there. Oviedo versus Ohtani. Oviedo coming off a quality start. He was roughed up his 2 prior starts. And Ohtani really struggling lately. 10 runs, 9 earned in 10 innings, 7 walks in his last 2 starts. A little concerning there. This is, Angels got to get it done in this matchup, especially with the ace on the mound, facing one of the worst teams in baseball. You win 4 or 5. You're getting back in the hunt a little bit. They don't take care of business in this. This series could be one of those that results in maybe thinking about trading Ohtani. If you lose 2 of 3 here to Pittsburgh, start falling, losing any ground. So we'll see what happens here. Would be Pittsburgh or nobody at the price, but it's gotten shot down. Can't back it anymore. We'll look for a live price if you want the Pirates.
Yeah, it was Pirates or nothing with that price. Problem is Pirates are ice cold. They won that last game against Cleveland, but even with that win, 3-14 their last 17 road games, 3-12 their last 15 overall, hitting 280, scoring 2.83 runs per game, and hitting 210 since the break. Just not the kind of stats I want it back. Shops are all over this game. This game opened up at 205, and right now you're sitting down at about minus 180 with the Angels. The only other thing there, how does Ohtani deal with this whole trade situation? What does he come out? Two bad outings his last 2 times out. Just Angels are scoring, Pirates aren't. I'm going to stay off this one. Sharps are on the dog. I can't pull the trigger on an ice cold Pittsburgh team. They're not hitting. Angels are. Ohtani needs to get that W. But what challenges is, how does he deal with the trade? We saw early in the week with Giolito, the most pronounced name in the trade market as a pitcher besides Ohtani, and he got destroyed in the first inning by the Mets.
Yeah, Stroman, another one of those guys yesterday, a little bit of struggles with his name going around on the deadline. The only guy who's really had a big start, Lorenzen. He hasn't allowed a run in 3 starts yet in July. He's a guy whose trade value is climbing with each start so far in the month. So we'll see how it affects Ohtani. That's the card today, guys. As John said, no bets so far. I have to wait for lineups. I have to see where these lines start going. As you guys know, a couple of these spots, if they go any higher, are going to force our hand to make a couple of bets. We'll be on top of that all throughout the day. You guys know where to sign up for that. John, if you have anything else here, I know you have a busy weekend coming up.
Yep, we're getting to it. 7 bets on Wednesday, 3 yesterday, none so far today. This is just how it goes. We don't force any bets. When there's a bet, we'll have it. We'd assume we'd have a bet as the lines move and we get lineups during the day. You want to get them? HowToBeatTheBookie.com. Become a member.
You guys know where to go to sign up. Download the app, sign up there. If you guys haven't yet, like, subscribe, comment below on these. Help us grow the Cash It Pod. John, let's make some money.
Let's make some money.